Does Pixar's newest film, Elio, reach for the stars, or does it crash and burn? You're about to find out. This is a non-spoiler review of the film Elio. It's Sienna, and let's just get to the review. Elio follows a young boy named Elio who has recently lost his parents, and now he lives with his aunt. And his aunt works in the military, and she is busy and trying to struggle this new life with Elio. Elio is now very reserved, doesn't really have any friends, is quiet, and he is obsessed with space and wants to be abducted by aliens because he feels like he just doesn't belong on Earth. His aunt doesn't really want him from what he perceives her actions as, so he's just feeling out of place. He's getting bullied, so he decides he's gonna get captured by aliens, and one day the aliens finally come and they grab him and bring him to the Communiverse, which is basically the UN of space. All of these different species have ambassadors from different planets, and they are there to share knowledge and wealth and just live in harmony with one another. And so Elio is now trying to become the ambassador for Earth, so he is telling all the aliens that he is the leader of Earth and that he wants to join the Communiverse as a welcome ambassador. Lord Grigon also wants to become an ambassador, and he is from a different alien planet. However, his planet leans more towards violence and aggression, so the Communiverse doesn't really want him to join. So they assign a task to Elio that if you tell Lord Grigon to go away, you will become an ambassador. And now that is Elio's mission. Now that is the basic plot summary of the film Elio. And from Pixar, you're expecting some grand, heartfelt story, and while this film definitely has those elements, it doesn't really reach its full potential. There is a very cute and sweet story in this film, but it just never really feels like it ever gets there. So we're going to talk about Elio first from a visual standpoint. This is obviously an animated film, and visually, it's very pretty. The animation's good. It's what you would expect from Pixar. However, I grew up on Barbie movies, and while watching Elio, all I could think of was Barbie, A Mermaid Tale. Yes, I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. While looking at the Communiverse visually, it just seems almost like it's in the sea. To me, at least, the aliens, they look like little sea creatures. Glordon, who becomes friends with Elio, is an alien and he looks like a worm. While they're playing around the Communiverse, it just seems like, oh, this is underwater in the sea. I didn't really get those spaced, grand vibes, really. And frankly, when you didn't have a shot that was really like in the Communiverse, it was very dark, isolating, and lonely. I was expecting more colors from an animated space movie. I was like, oh wow, it could be really pretty. They're gonna do a good job. But I just felt like the screen was empty. There was just a lot of empty space, and I get you're in space. It's literally very empty, but they could have done something more, especially with these aliens. They could have worked on their design a little bit more, because when looking at all these different aliens and their designs, they seem like fish or something that you would find in the sea. Now, I'm not a marine biologist, so that is just my personal take, but let me know your thoughts on the actual aliens' designs, because overall, I wasn't really impressed. If you're gonna put aliens in a movie, I feel like they should be something new, exciting, and cool. And yes, you can draw different inspiration from different things, but it just felt like this should be under the sea. When looking at Elio, especially from a story perspective and also visually, it definitely felt like it drawed from a lot of other Disney projects. Specifically, Lilo and Stitch following the plot, replace a sister with an aunt and Lilo with a boy, and you got Elio. It felt very much like Lilo and Stitch, and we just had the live action Lilo and Stitch, so it's definitely in people's minds. So if you did watch Lilo and Stitch and now you're watching Elio, I think you're definitely going to feel the similarities between them. Elio does have a red ship. Guess what? Stitch has a red ship. So even down to little details, yes, from a visual standpoint, but also from a story standpoint, very, very similar. So in that sense, I was a little disappointed because I've already seen this film. It feels like a million times. And also, I got a lot of hints of Star Wars, which I guess is nothing too crazy. It is a space movie and Star Wars is in space, especially with the Communiverse when all the different ambassadors are together and they're voting. It looked like the Galactic Senate to me. All I could think about was Star Wars, like Yoda fighting there. So that's all I could think about while watching that scene when they're all in there. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Let me know what you think. Am I the crazy one? I don't know. I just felt there was a lot of similarities, especially in this one scene where Elio is flying his ship and he's trying to avoid some debris and he barely misses a part of a rocket. I don't know, I'm not that into space. What I assume is a part of a former ship, former rocket. It looked very similar when Luke is flying on the edge of the Death Star before he blows it up. I was like, I got flashbacks. That's all I could think of. And I'm not even like that big of a Star Wars fan. Like I enjoy Star Wars, but I'm not watching it every single day. And I picked up on those. So I don't know. Again, maybe I'm crazy. That is all very much possible, so I'm probably the problem, but let me know what you think. Overall, Elio is trying to find a place where he belongs, and he feels like it's not with his aunt, and it's not on Earth, so he goes to space. There's definitely a really good story they could have explored here with Elio, and I just felt they got close but didn't reach at all. As a result, I think the emotional part in this film just landed flat with me. It didn't reach its full potential of trying to find a place where you belong after you've been bullied and you just don't feel like anyone loves you. They could have really dived deep into that with Glordon and with Elio, and they just didn't do as good as a job as Pixar has done in the past. I mean, this is a theme that is in almost every single Pixar movie that you could probably think of, and it just fell flat in this film. With Pixar as a studio, you're expecting a really good story and really good animation, and I just felt like this film, while it was okay, it didn't reach the Pixar expectation. Now, do I think this is the worst Pixar film ever? I don't know about that, but I don't think it's definitely the best. It's probably just gonna get forgotten and it will end up on Disney Plus before the end of the year. Now, would I go out of my way to see this film? No, but if it was on the TV, would I be like ripping out my eyeballs? No, I wouldn't. It was just fine, okay, a big ol' nothing burger, and we'll probably all forget about it in 2 months. So at the end of the day, it's a fine film. I wouldn't go out of my way to see it, and I'd probably go and watch something else if I had to pick or choose, but it's not a terrible film either. So I think that some people are going to find enjoyment with this story and with this film, and others are not. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below if you're going to see Elio or if you're going to pass on this one. But have a great day. Bye!